Is the recording going?
Yep, we're good.
Yes.
Whenever you're
Okay.
ready.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday. I hope you're all well. I will let her in. There we go. There are now 29 of us in here. So thank you for joining me and all of us for the Scholar Success Department MTSS training. You have all been here as long, if not longer, than I have. So this is definitely a refresher. I'm just going to go briefly over the different aspects of the MTSS framework. I should put on the agenda for that. And then I'll give you some of the updates for this year because there are always little tweaks and changes. So as always, we'll do the mission and vision and our values, an MTSS overview, academic supports here at Compass, and then I will introduce my team and have Q&A. Okay, so here's our mission and vision. We all know it. And obviously MTSS really speaks to our vision of that one scholar at a time. Our Arctic values. And as you will see, this definitely relates to our positive behavior supports. We have these at all of our meetings. We have them in all of my team's sessions. And it just really reinforces that positive behavior here at Compass for all of us. Okay, so what is MTSS? You all know this. It's a multi-tiered system of support, systematic multi-tiered model that supports behavioral, social, emotional, and academic support for scholars, ideally prior to a problem. This framework relates directly to both of our WIGs because the goal is to help scholars feel connected, emotionally supported, and to individualize their instruction to help them work on grade level curriculum with the goal of graduation. So again, we provide the support ideally as a preventative measure, but sometimes scholars come in needing a little bit more. The goal is to get them out of needing that tier 2 or tier 3 support and get them back to tier 1 instruction. So as you all know, probably my team focuses primarily on the academic support with math and reading, but there are some ways that we also support the positive behavior and social emotional well-being. So I'm going to, again, provide just a brief overview of what that looks like, and then really dive into that academic support. But let's look at those tiers just a tiny bit closer. I like this graphic. Erin was like, yeah, ooh, use this one. It's good. It's on the guide site. It's in other presentations, but it is really nice to look at what those different tiers all are with the all, the some, and the few. Ideally, the breakdown is 80% of scholars are all working at tier 1. Tier 2 is supplemental for 15% of a school's population, and tier 3 is that intensive, more targeted support for 5% of the population. It's really common to see right now, especially because of that time period that shall not be named, that it's a reverse triangle. And we're not quite totally reversed, but we can get our percentages a little bit better. Okay. Behavioral support, we really talk about PBIS, positive behavior incentives and support. Tier 1 is just to really establish those practices and norms within any sort of scholar interaction. And we do this with those Arctic values and always bringing things back to our Arctic values. Tier 2 practices and systems to support scholars who are at risk for developing more serious behavior and problems. So it's when we're redirecting their behavior, maybe we're sending a message to the LC, pulling in a counselor. And tier 3 is that really intensive support where this scholar needs individualized attention. That's a really good time to pull in a coordinator, a counselor, and maybe somebody from the outside. I love the Center for PBIS. I have the website linked. It's on the guide site. It's also linked in the speaker notes here. It's a great resource for what each of the tiers looks like and supports that are available at that level. Something we do, so this is what I do. We have that Rising Scholar ticket, and a huge shout out to Michelle Whitney, who was like, hey, I really want to revamp this to make it easier for teachers to send these out. I know my team sends them out to scholars to reinforce that positive behavior. We have these customizable rewards that are things like you can be DJ for the day, you can teach a little brief lesson, you can have lunch with me, things that don't necessarily take a lot of time, they don't cost a lot of money, but just a little way to recognize positive and reinforce positive behavior within our scholar interactions. So stay tuned for more on the revamped Rising Scholar tickets. But in the meantime, feel free to share these rewards with your team. This is just a list of suggestions. You're not limited to this. But again, reinforcing that positive behavior is going to yield really great results within our sessions. Okay, SEL. Oh, Faye's wanting to come in and say hi. Good thing I locked the doors. SEL. Social emotional learning. We really want to support scholars' social emotional well-being. Every month, I send out, along with the MTSS bulletin, a list of warm-ups and activities. Thank you to Katie Dickens, who really shares our expertise with that. So that's what I do on my part. Our counseling team is really wonderful with their SEL support. So they have their monthly learning labs, they have their groups. So definitely turn to them when you need tier 2 or tier 3 support. And then again, in the speaker notes, I linked the Castle website, which is another wonderful resource. Let's dive into the academic supports. So again, tier 1 is that universal instruction, tier 2 is supplementary, and tier 3 is intensive. So tier 1, this is what all scholars receive in any session. It's that rigorous grade level instruction with differentiation when needed. So this looks like, oh, that's fun. I can't see that very well. So this is that best first instruction, going to learning labs, personalized curriculum. You can see the list there. Academic clubs are also a part of tier 1 because that's supporting the PBI, the behavior and social emotional well-being as well. I always like to point out that this does include differentiation because sometimes it's not because there are skill gaps. Scholars just need a little bit more support. So that differentiation is still happening at the tier 1 level. Okay, tier 2, if we remember, supplemental, it's 15% of the population. And this is when scholars, even with that differentiation, are still not quite where they need to be to access grade level curriculum. So they need a little bit of supplemental support. So here at Compass, we are inviting these scholars to intervention tutoring, but it's not limited to that. It also includes evidence-based strategies and supports provided by the ST or the LC. You can see the list of resources here, but yes, they are invited to intervention as well. Okay, so what's the difference? Tier 1, universal, it's happening for everyone. Scholars are getting that in their learning labs, in their homeroom, in any content area they are working in. Sorry, I cannot see all the notes. And then tier 2, this is when they are struggling again because they have those skill gaps. It's not just, ooh, I need a little bit more help on this lesson. It's, I do not have the prerequisite skills in order to access this. So they need that strategy, that intervention at this level. All right, tier 3. This is for scholars who need that intense support in order to succeed. They are decently below grade level. This is 5% of the population. So they are invited to those tutoring groups. They can have one-on-one tutoring if they need it. They receive more individualized attention. Partnership, communication, collaboration are extremely important at this level because, we are not an island in education. We are all working together to support the scholar. One person is not enough. So our team, we're offering multiple sessions and multiple times to provide ample opportunities for these scholars to get almost daily intervention. They should also be receiving it from the LC or the ST, that support that they need to access their grade level curriculum. I will say when we were full staffed, it was super wonderful that we were able to double up our efforts. We were able to provide the intervention tutoring and the resource groups, and hopefully we'll get back to that in order to really boost their skills for the meantime, and I'll address this later on. We have adjusted our sessions, adjusted our schedules to compensate for this, and I will share those updates in just a bit. Okay, so identification of scholars. The main data point that we use is that STAR test. And the STAR test is so important for us. In my group at the retreat, Data, Louise, thank you, was the very first person to go. And that really was what all of us are using to best support the scholar. So any scholar identified as intervention or urgent intervention is going to receive an invitation to our sessions. This is why it's hugely important that scholars take this test seriously. We use this data as our starting point because I don't know all 1,113 scholars. So I just go by the data at first. You know, your team knows their scholars. If a test score is not accurate, we really recommend and request that they test again. If a scholar does not qualify based on their test score, but a teacher or an LC is noticing skill gaps, let's go ahead, implement a strategy with progress monitoring, and then we could bring that evidence to the team to see if intervention tutoring is going to be the best support for him or her. So I just want to throw out an example here. There was a scholar who did not qualify for intervention. They were at or above in both categories, but the LC and the ST were looking at the scholar's work and noticing that something wasn't quite right. And they were trying some reading intervention and it just wasn't quite clicking. So we all looked at that together and determined that LaLilo placement was best for this scholar. The scholar was not attending the intervention sessions. She didn't quite need that level of support, but she needed a different tool. So looking at the data with collaboration with the team, we determined the best support for that scholar and gave her LaLilo. Okay, so here are our updates. Bootcamp is back. It was really well received last year. It's a bonus learning time. We were excited about being able to start off the school year with support. That has not been the case. We usually don't start our sessions until October, so September was just spent twiddling our thumbs and waiting to provide that support. So what we did last year and we are doing for this year, I used that end of the year data. So as those scores were coming in, I'm filtering out any scholar who is identified as needing intervention or urgent intervention and setting up these sessions for September. It's going to look a little different than our intervention tutoring, but again, everything's pretty much the same where they are getting weekly 30-minute sessions to boost their math and reading skills. Worth noting, this is based on end of the year scores, not beginning of the year scores when that test window opens in September. So say there was a scholar who was intervention or urgent intervention at the end of the year, and now they're on watch with the beginning of the year, or they're even at or above, they won't be invited to fall intervention. So this is just for September. And we will communicate that clearly, but hopefully if you can have your STs reinforce that as well. Bootcamp is its own separate thing based on end of the year scores. Okay, so once those beginning of the year scores start coming in is when I start building the fall roster. Those sessions will start in October. Again, the schedule even and the format is going to look fairly similar, just a few minor changes. Scholars will be working in Freckle. They will go to these weekly sessions. Attending tutoring helps, working in Freckle helps, doing both really helps. I feel like there's been a lot more activity within Freckle, and with that increased activity, we have more believers, which is really exciting. So the more that we are reinforcing practice and support within Freckle, the more likely we are to move our scholars outside of needing tier 2 and tier 3 support. I have linked on here the schedule for all tutoring sessions. That includes Christy's team with the EL tutors as well. It is linked on the guide site. Yes, I think that is that for that. Okay, Lalilo is also back. So your team, probably everybody had scholars who were working in Lalilo. These are the scholars who were below the 25th percentile on early literacy and did not pass the CBM. So we are offering them a different early literacy support, and Lalilo has been awesome. So it's back. We're really excited. This year it's going to be for K through second scholars. They will be attending a resource group with Marissa Campisi. The sessions focus on, depending on their need, letter recognition, phonics, phonemic awareness, fluency. There's even reading comprehension, depending on what their level is. And then they're working independently in Lalilo. Lalilo is still a little bit of a baby within Renaissance. So its reporting and access is not quite the same as like Freckle or even the STAR results. So we will continue for now to do what we were doing last year, which is sending out weekly usage reports because there is not access for everybody to view their scholars. Hopefully I've communicated this well enough, but definitely worth repeating. If one of your teachers wants an actual report rather than just what their weekly usage was, please just let me know. I am always here and I can go in and download that report and send a PDF to a teacher. Okay, some more updates and reminders. I did not add any speaker notes for this slide. So tutors and resource specialists, they're going to be offering different focuses more than once a week. And this is what's different because we are a reduced team this year. So we needed to be creative in how we can offer additional support with having fewer people. So they're offering different focuses. For example, reading is going to have a fiction track and a nonfiction track, and they're going to be offering those sessions to multiple grade levels, multiple times a week. We want scholars to attend as many as they possibly can, and online knows this because we met with them at the retreat. If they have a conflict because of a learning lab, then they're not going to attend that session. But if they're free for the other ones and they want that additional support, by all means, come and attend that session. So we had scholars last year that were attending 5 days a week, which is awesome. We are going to be changing maybe the way that we take attendance, but we're trying it for boot camp. So that way scholars do get credit for each and every session that they attend. I will update you all as that develops. We also, this is exciting, thank you, Aaron Smith, are now tagging our scholars within the SIS. The SIS has not been a highly utilized resource for our team because we are not tied to any scholars within the SIS, especially because our rosters are so fluid. But now STs are going to be able to go in and right on that scholar dashboard, there will be a tag. Right now, it's only for LA. We're working next week to get it done for San Diego and for YOLO, but there will be a little tag that just says Bootcamp Scholar. And so an ST can log in and see their scholars and be like, oh, okay, this is who is in bootcamp. And then come October, really the end of September, we'll do the same, saying that they are fall math intervention or fall reading intervention, or maybe both. So that way, when we look at a scholar, we can see how long have they lived within intervention and these tiers. Finally, we are working on a way to make it easier for STs to look at the progress of their scholars. I really do take the feedback from teachers and coordinators to heart. I listen, and a few people were saying that it's hard using our headquarters because our weeks don't match up with LPs and looking at attendance can be confusing. So until we have an actual system that allows us to go in, click and see, we're trying to find a way to make this easier for teachers. This is a draft. This is not set in stone, but I'm looking at doing just a learning period check-in where I go ahead and import how many sessions a scholar has attended that learning period. I go ahead and enter how many Freckle sessions they have completed. And it's kind of a one-stop shop for teachers to look at their scholars' attendance and performance rather than going into the headquarters. So that is something that I am working on for this year to make it easier. Finally, here's our team. I'm still leaving these happy faces up here because I'm hoping that they return. But we have Miss Sylvia returning for elementary reading intervention. She's working with the scholars that take STAR reading, not STAR early lit. Miss Silva, Lexi Silva, is doing middle school and high school reading intervention. Jasmine Mejia will be doing math intervention for early elementary, K through 5. And then Kayla Solons is doing middle school and high school math. And so it's Marissa Campisi, who is truly an Arctic colleague. She stepped into the role of early literacy reading specialist when we lost Stephanie Calderon, and she will be working with the K through 2 scholars, early literacy, and Lalilo. Okay, and I think this is the last one. Paper.co is sort of back. It is available for YOLO Title I scholars only this year. I don't know how heavily utilized it was, but I will say for those scholars who were using it, it was a good resource. I get a lot of questions about using our team for homework help, and we're not homework help, we're intervention. Paper's homework help. So if this is a platform that works for your scholars' learning style, then, and they are YOLO Title I, Paper is a good resource for them. Talk to Erin if you have any questions about paper.co. Okay, this is a document that I have linked on the guide site. It just talks about, my scholar took the beginning of the year STAR. What do I do now? And it has it out there. But also visit the guide site, email, call, G-chat me, invite me to your team meetings. I am always, always willing to answer questions, hear your suggestions, and help make our teams work together better to support our scholars. Just MTSS, all means all. We're all here to work together to support your scholar. So if you have any questions, you can ask me now, you can email me, you can call me, you can G-chat me, or invite me to your team meeting. Any questions? No questions. I was that thorough. Okay, and then, one thing that I did forget to mention, that the whole team is using Nearpod for their lessons. They will be sending out a Nearpod link. So for scholars who are unable to attend, they do have that ability to access the lesson asynchronously. And we will enter that into the headquarters as an async participation. And just like all the years past, we will be sending out recordings as well. So we have a lot of scholars who have worked that way because they have anxiety about coming to these sessions. They have a scheduling conflict. They attend some other outside intervention tutoring, but they have this as well. So they'll watch the recordings and do the async lesson, which is not the best, but it's something. And I will always take something over nothing. And then the other thing I wanted to say, and I've shared this with teams, and I really think it's worth mentioning over and over, is that our team uses focus mode. And if you don't know about focus mode, or your teams don't know about focus mode, I really recommend it. It's fantastic. It is when, and I learned this from Casey's team with testing, it's when the teacher can see everybody, but the scholars only see the teacher. And we start out with everybody seeing each other so scholars get that social interaction, which is one reason why a lot of scholars say they come to our sessions, because they like seeing their friends, which is wonderful. But we have a lot who they have that anxiety. They don't want people to see them. They don't want to interact with others. So when we go into our instruction, we switch it into focus mode. And that is when all the cameras turn on. And it's really wonderful. And what I love is that because it's in focus mode, the recordings don't show any scholars either. So I think that's always something that's really worth mentioning to any teacher that has a scholar with anxiety. anything else? Well, I am done. I don't know who to turn it over to, but I will turn it over to anybody who wants to be turned over to.
I can take over for a second. If there aren't any other questions, just remember, I know Casey added it in the chat as well, the FAQ. So continue to ask questions and tag us if anything comes up. We will be doing another overview for each of the departments within academic support throughout the month of August. So we will be covering this again for supervising teachers. So stay on the lookout. I think I actually sent that invite yesterday, so you should see that as well. Again, don't hesitate to reach out if anything comes up this month, or if you have questions about specific scholars. We are around and working. So if there's anything we can better help you with as you're doing your planning throughout the month of August, let us know. Similarly with connection meetings, if you feel that, any of your scholars or any of the supervising teachers may need one of us to pop in for support, we definitely are available for that too. If, let's say, Melissa's not available, I can always be on as well. So just G-chat us, let us know. We can make it work to help kind of guide those discussions and collaborations throughout the school year and launch the year. I'm trying to think what else. I think that's it on our end. I know Melissa mentioned that asynchronous opportunity, which I think has really worked and benefited a lot of the scholars towards the end of the semester. It also was very helpful for those of you that might have a teacher out for a few days here and there. I know we had a tutor out, and she actually pre-recorded her sessions ahead of time and used that as kind of her sub plan for the week. Nearpod is awesome. So it does allow that ability for scholars to interact with the presentation, but then also, a way for the teacher to track that attendance with an exit ticket as well. So that was really cool. And we're looking at doing that similarly for our ELs as well. I think that's it. We have the deck linked in the FAQ. We'll post the recording when that finishes downloading. And other than that, tomorrow is the session around English language learners. So we look forward to sharing a little bit more in that area too. And reach out if anything else comes up. But you guys all have a great day. I hope your first week back is going well. That everyone stayed. I think we have some sniffles and things going on around within even my team. So I hope everyone stays healthy and has a great week. We'll see you in the morning. Thank you. Thanks, Melissa.
Thank you all.
Have a great day.